Welcome to the More Life, Less Drama podcast with mindset expert and master executive coach, Prue Sulicic, who will teach you how to finish your first goal and then every goal using her simple, proven formula. If you're ready to live more life, have more fun, and reach your potential with less drama, you're in the right place.
G'day. Welcome to another episode of More Life, Less Drama. This episode is going to be super quick because I just got off a masterclass and my throat is sore. And this girl does not speak for that long or that intensely for that long. And yeah, the whole throat is a bit worn out. So I'm just going to have a little sip of tea. A friend gave me a tip the other night and she was on my first class and she could hear my throat getting raspy, obviously, and getting a tickle and having to have drinks. And she said a warm drink while you're talking is really great. So I followed her advice today and it worked like a charm. So thank you, Tracy, if you're watching this. And today, like I said, it's going to be super quick. Just a quick message just to remind you of something. And before I begin, this message came to me from the International Women's Day event that I went to yesterday. And this event had over 600 people there, mostly women, and they had some really great guest speakers. It was with the Women of Influence International Women's Day event, so it was a big event. And I'd never been to one before, at that capacity anyway, or from those people. I've been to others in the past. And there is a resounding message that I took away from it. And I'm going to let you know what that message was in the context of our goals. And that is the message, small step count, small actions count. And actually, if nothing else, all life is a lot of small steps put together to create a big action. And one lady who spoke, and I'm going to apologise because I cannot remember people's names off the top of my head. I'd have to go searching for it. But for this episode, I'm just going to use the example of one lady said. She said, small hinges open big doors. And I was nodding along thinking, yes, we think that it's big, massive hinges that open big doors. But the truth is, it's just small hinges. It's small steps that are done every day consistently that actually create the life that you want. And there was also another lady, cannot pronounce her name, but she did a 150 marathon run. Every day she ran a marathon, and that just blows my mind because I think, how on earth would you run a marathon for a day for 150 days? That's just crazy to me. But she said the same thing. She was like, I didn't focus on running 150 marathons. No way. That would have blown her brain apart. What she focused on was that day. What she sometimes had to focus on was while she was running, she could see a servo at the end of the street, and she would say to herself, I just need to get to that servo. And then she'd say, then I'd have a creaming soda and a sausage roll. I thought that was hilarious. So people who achieve these big dreams and these big aspirations and follow through with them are just looking a few steps ahead. They are not looking at 150 days later, because that, my friend, is too overwhelming. I also had a coaching call with a beautiful client this morning, and she said something to me that made me realize people have a different perspective on this. So she said that she is only just ahead of her thoughts. And when she's talking about her thoughts, it's maybe the thoughts that aren't so supportive. So she's just one step ahead of those. And I actually said to her, that's exactly it. That's all you need to be. You actually don't need to be 10 steps ahead or not having thoughts at all. All you need to be is one step away from the negative thoughts and one step ahead of those negative thoughts to have a different life. And so it goes back to that whole small steps, big changes. Small hinges open big doors. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. all the message was yesterday was that anything that is achieved in life is just a series of small steps that someone was willing to take, that had the courage to take, and they just showed up every day to get it done. And that person, my friend, could be you, because you might be thinking, oh, but that's not me. I've never done anything like that before in my life. And that might be true up until this moment. But you are also just one decision away from a different life. And if you just decide to yourself, you know what, I'm going to take one step today that will step me closer to my dreams and my goals and the life that I want. And remember, it's your life. It doesn't have to look like anybody else's dream. It can just look exactly how you want it. What would that thing be? What could you do today that could be that one thing that steps you towards the life that you want? And if you just took the courage and, had a lot of bravery and stepped into that and just, assumed that it could be done. Instead of assuming that you can't do it, maybe assume instead that you can do it. And take it from that resounding message that was not written. The message wasn't that. I think the message is march forward or something like that. Obviously I wasn't paying much attention, but that tends to be my brain anyway. But the message that I heard again and again and again and again from all the speakers was small steps count. Those small steps make big changes. Small hinges open big doors. So we need to get you on that same thought practice and that thought train that you and your small steps will get you to your big, beautiful life that you want as well. And then just deciding what is that one small thing. And not thinking about 150 days from now, thinking today, what is that one thing today? My one thing today was to record this podcast. I said to myself yesterday I was going to do it. I just didn't feel like it, which it's not a great excuse, and it's one that I don't use that often anymore. But yesterday it got the better of me and I didn't follow through with what I said I was going to do. And instead I'm here today. I've said it's a must, that this must happen today, because I really want to get out this podcast to you tomorrow. I don't want to go a week without putting out a podcast. And so that's my promise to myself. My small step was to record the podcast, and I made the promise to myself that it only had to be 10 minutes, that I didn't have to put this elaborate podcast together that was, fully planned out and prepared. It could just be messy. It could be 10 minutes long, and that is perfectly okay. So that was my one thing for today. And I know you've got one thing too. Maybe it's walk around the block for 10 minutes. Maybe it's fold that washing and put it away that's been sitting on the table for the last few days. Maybe it's get up and cook dinner and then clean up all the way to the end, and so everything is tidy before you go to bed. Maybe that's your one thing. So what is one thing that you can do to make your life better? And do that one thing. And if you need some support with that, I've still got one more class available for my live masterclasses that I've been running. So I've already hosted 2, and they've gone really well. And I've got one third and final one running that is happening on the 11th of March at 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So that is, Brisbane time. If you want to come to that, I'm going to link that in the comments of this podcast, or the show notes, as it turns out, not comments, because this is not Facebook. It's not a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live. It's a podcast, so it'll be in the show notes. And you can join us and you can bring that one thing and think of that one thing while you go through the teachings that I teach you on that call. And I would love to see you there and love to support you to follow through with what matters to you. Okay, my friends, so remember, the message is that small steps count. And that everything that is small, that is done on repeat, that you do every day, counts, and it adds up to a big glorious life, the life that you want and the life that you love. And my friends, you are capable of it. It is for you. It is in you, so therefore it is for you. And yeah, if you need support with that, come along to the masterclass and I would happily help you out with that. Okay, my friends, that's it. That's my few minutes done. I think I've done 10 minutes. I can sign off now. I've followed through on the promise to myself to get this done. I follow along, share the podcast if it's going to be helpful for somebody else to hear. And I will see you at the masterclass. Otherwise, I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.